students. So we'll start with the next chapter of your fourth module, that is chapter 11, data link control, also called as the DLC. As far as the DLC services is concerned, the data link controls deals with procedures for communications between the two adjacent nodes, that is node to node communications. Okay, and this can be done either via the dedicated link or either via the broadcast. So in these cases, the information between the two nodes will be either directly, that is point to point, or it will be the broadcast. The data link control functions is include framing and the flow error control. So in this case, we are going to study regarding the framing first as well as the flow and error control. What exactly is framing is? Data transmission in the physical layer means moving the bits in the form of a signals from the source to the destination. So in this physical layer, we have already seen that information will be in the form of a bits. But while sending the data from the sender to the receiver, the bits will be converted into signals. Okay, and that those will be sent. The physical layer provides bit synchronization to ensure that the sender and receiver uses the same bit durations and timing. So the bit synchronization is required so that neither of the messages has been lost. The data link layer, on the other hand, needs to pack the bits into frames so that the frame is distinguishable from another. Now in this case, students, what we are doing is, when there is a large amount of the information, okay, we are dividing this information into form of a frames, small frames. The example that can be given as far as the letters, in post office you must have seen many letters. So on the letters you will be having the senders as well as the receiver's address, and all these letters are being differentiated from each other by putting them inside the envelopes. Okay, so over there the sender's address will be different as well as the receiver's address also will be different. So as far as the framing is concerned, in the data link separates a message from the one source to the destination by adding the sender's address and the destination address. The destination address defines where the packet is to go, and the sender's address helps the recipient acknowledge the receipt. What does acknowledgement means is nothing but, once the receiver is going to receive the entire message, that is all the frames, the receiver is going to send a acknowledgement message to the sender saying that the entire message has been received properly. Although the whole message, now why there is a need of putting the entire or dividing the message in the form of a frames? There may be cases, students, where a single error can occur, a bit error, which means that the sender has to send the entire information again. But in case suppose we divide the information or we divide the message in the form of a frames, what is going to happen? If either a single bit error occurs in one of the frame, then only that frame is need to be retransferred again. That is retransmissions of that particular frame only, rather than sending all the frames all over again. Although the whole message will be packed into one frame, that is not normally done. One reason is that the frames can be very large, making flow and error control very insufficient. When the message is carried in one large frame, even a single bit error would require retransmission of the whole frame. When the message is divided into smaller frames, a single bit error affects only that frame. Next, frame size. As far as the frame size can be of fixed or of variable size. Now in the frame sizes of fixed size, now what is going to happen? You don't require any delimiter. Why? Because the message once it reaches a particular size, you don't have to you see, in that cases, once it reaches a particular frame size, you don't have to keep a track whether what will be the frame size will be. But because you know that the frame size has to be that much, there is no need for defining a boundaries to the frames. The size itself will be a delimiter. An example of this type of framing is the ATM van, which uses the frames of a fixed size called cells. Variable size framing, we need a way to define the end of one frame and the beginning of the next. In case suppose your frame size is of variable length, then you should know, you should tell the receiver that this is the start of the frame and what will be the end of that particular frame will be. Historically, two approaches were used for this purpose, that is character oriented approach and the bit oriented approach. Now we study what exactly is character oriented approach is. As far as the character oriented framing is concerned, students, this is the diagrams where you will be having something called the flag, header, trailer, and again the flag, and here in between will be your data. So flag indicates This flag indicates the start of the frame. This flag indicates the end of that particular frame. So inside the header, you will be having the source address, okay, the destination address and other control informations. As far as the trailer is concerned, you will be having the information such as error detection, redundant bits, okay. All this information will be there inside the trailer. Now, in this case, the same thing is written over here. The header which normally carries the source and the destination address and the other control informations, and the trailer which carries error detection, redundant bits also are also multiples of 8 bits. To separate one frame from the next, an 8 bit, that is 1 byte, flag is added at the beginning and end of the frame. The flag composed of protocol dependent special characters signals the start and the end of the frame, as we have already seen in the diagram. As far as the character oriented framing was popular, now this character oriented framing, the students, was actually used when the information to be sent was only in the form of a text. But in these days, if you go to see, the information will be in the form of a graphs, it will be in the form of a audios, it will be in the form of a videos. There may be a cases that whatever bits we have actually assigned for flag, the same information will be in the form of a data. Clear? So in such cases, what the destination, at the destination, or what the receiver is going to think that will be end of the frame. For example, I repeat it again, as far as the flag is concerned, we will be having some bits for the flag. Okay, now the same bits assume that is there in the form of a data. Okay, so there will be confusion at the receiver end, thinking that what the receiver is going to think, okay, this is the end of the frame. Clear? So the flag will be selected to be any character not used for text communications. Now, however, we send other types of the information such as graph, audios and videos. Any character used for flag will also be part of the information. If this happens, the receiver will encounter this pattern in the middle of the data, thinks has reached the end of the frame. So it will be a problem. To overcome this problem, byte stuffing strategy added to the character oriented framing. Now what exactly is byte stuffing strategy? In case suppose the bits in the data are same as that of the flag, so you are going to have something called as the byte stuffing. Those are called as the escape characters. Okay, so a special byte is added to the data sections of the frame when there is a character with the same pattern as that of the flag. The data section is stuffed with the extra bytes. Okay, this byte is usually called as the escape character that has predefined pattern bit pattern. Whenever the receiver encounters the escape character, it removes it out, okay, from the data section and treat the next character as the data. So it won't treat the next character as the flags, but it will treat as a data. So the same thing you can see over here, students, where there is a sent frame. Frame will be the header. Okay, the inside the sent frame you'll be having this flag, header, the escape, flag, escape, escape, trailer and the flag. So the same thing is going to get received at the receiver end. That is flag, header, escape, flag, escape, escape, trailer and flag. So while unstuffing, now you are supposed to remove the stuffed bytes, that is the escape character. So after removing the escape character, you'll be able to see at the receiver end. So the data will be there, data flag and the entire data, and then it will be the escape. So this will be the escape byte that is being added. It's only because my flag, okay, my flag is actually the same bits that are there in the data section. Okay, a byte stuffing is a process of adding extra byte whenever there is a flag or escape character in the text. Escape character, now if you go to see, students, there may be a cases where escape characters, no, you will be saying why there are two escape characters over here. It's only because there may be a case where the escape characters are there in the data sections. So over here you will be having two escape bits. So this directly indicates that these are the extra bytes which are going to get removed, and next will be considered as the data only. Clear? Byte stuffing by the escape character allow the presence of the flag in the data sections of the frame, but it creates another problem which I have already told you, when escape characters itself are there inside the data. The same way how flag characters were there inside the data. What happens if the text contains one or more escape characters followed by a byte with the same pattern as a flag? The receiver removes the escape character but keeps the next byte, which is incorrectly interpreted at the end of the frame. To solve this problem, escape characters that are part of the text must also be masked by the another escape characters, which I have already shown. In other words, if the escape character is part of the text, one extra one is added. An extra one is added to show that the second one is the part of the text. Character-oriented protocols present another problem in data communication. The universal coding system is used today, such as Unicode, have a 16-bit and 32 characters and conflicts with the 8-bit characters. The next thing that we are going to study is regarding the bit-oriented framing. As far as byte-oriented framing, we have seen that we are actually putting one byte, okay, as far as the byte stuffing is concerned. But as far as the bit-oriented framing is concerned, we are going to put only one bit. So in a bit-oriented framing, the data sections of the frame is a sequence of bits to be interpreted by the upper layer as text, graphics, audio and so on, video and so on. However, in addition to the headers and possibly trailers, we need to add a delimiter to separate one frame from the another. Most protocols use a special 8-bit flag, okay, that is 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0 as a delimiter to define the beginning and the end of the flag. So this is the flag. These flags can create the same type of problems that we have saw in the character oriented protocols. That is, if the flag patterns appears over here in the data, we need to somehow inform the receiver that it is not the end of the frame because we have actually selected this bits as a flag. What possibility will be there? The same bits will be there in the data section. So in such cases, we are supposed to differentiate between the data and the flag, as the receiver will think that, okay, this is the end of the frame. We do this by stuffing one single bit instead of one byte to prevent the patterns from looking like a flag. This strategy is called as the bit stuffing. So what exactly we have done? If you go to see students, after 4, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, you are going to add a bit over here. This strategy is called as a bit stuffing. And bit stuffing, if a 0 and a 5 consecutive ones, that is after 5 consecutive ones, if a 0 is encountered, okay, 5 consecutive ones encountered, an extra 0 is added. This extra stuffed bit is eventually removed from the data by the receiver. So at the receiver end, that bit has to get removed. Note that the extra bit added after 1, 0 followed by 5 ones regardless of the value of the next bits. This guarantees that the flag field sequence do not inadvertently appears in the frame. Now I'll show you the same thing with an examples. As far as this example is concerned, now this is the data that I want to send. Okay, my flag is there, my header is there. Now if you go to consider over here the flag, okay, so in that cases I'm stuffing, that is after 5 consecutive ones, I'm stuffing what? 1, 0. Okay, so in such cases after 5 consecutive ones there will be possibility that the 0 is there, okay, which is actually our data. So in such cases we are going to put an extra 0. Okay, so 2 extra bits have been done. So at the receiver end, the moment it says that 5 consecutive zeros are there, it is going to remove this 0. Similarly, with once it says that after 5 consecutive ones a 0 is there, it is going to remove only 1 0 because the next 0 is actually the part of the data. Shows a bit stuffing at the sender and a bit removal at the receiver. Note that even if we have 0 after 5 ones, we'll still stuff a 0. The 0 will be removed by the receiver. This means that the flag pattern, that is 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, because we are having 6 ones. Zeros appears in the data. This will change to 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0 stuff and is not mistaken for a flag by the receiver. The real flag will be 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0. It is not stuffed by the sender and recognized by the receiver. Next, flow and error control. Now, as far as the flow control is concerned, whenever an entity produces items and another entity consumes it, so we'll be having something called as the producer, that is going to makes the message, and the other ones will be the receiver who is going to receive the message. There will be a balance between the productions and the consumption rate. If the items are produced faster then they are being consumed, the consumer can be overwhelmed and may need to discard some items because the receiver is not able to receive all the information because the receiver is very slow as far as compared to that of the sender. If the items are produced more slowly and then can be consumed, the consumer must wait and the system becomes less efficient. Suppose if I tell the producer to lower and the receiver speed is very faster, so in that cases the efficiency will be slow. Flow control is related to the first issue, that is when the receiver is very slow to receive the message. We need to prevent the losing of the data items at the consumer side. In case suppose the receiver is very slow, obviously my data will be going to get lost. In communications in the data link layer, we are dealing with four entities: network and the data link layer at the sending node, network and the data link layer at the receiving node. Although we can have a complex relationship with more than one producer and consumer, we ignore the relationship between the networks and the data link and concentrate on the relationship between the two links as shown in the figure. Now we are not concentrating on the network, we are only taking into consideration the data link layer. So there will be a sending node which is going to produce this, the frames will be pushed, the receiving node again at the data link, and we are going to control it. Figure shows that the data link layer at the sending node tries to push the frames towards the data link layer at the receiving end. If the receiving node cannot process and delivers the packet to the network at the same rate that the frames arrives, it becomes overwhelmed with the frames. The flow control in this case can be feedback for the receiving node to the sending to stop. So what are the receiving node is going to tell? To stop or to slow down the pushing of the frames. The next one will be buffer. Although control, now the whatever this is there, suppose if I keep a buffer also can be solved. Okay, although the flow control can be implemented in several ways, one of the situations is normally to use two buffers, one at the sending data link layer and other at the receiving data link layer. The buffer is set at the memory locations that can hold packets at the sender and receiver. The flow control communications can occur by sending the signals from the consumer to the producer. When the buffer of the receiving data link is full, it informs the sending layer to stop because even the buffer is full now at the receiver end. So what are the receiver is going to tell to the sender to stop for some time. Clear? Next one will be the error control. Since the underlying technology at the physical layer is not fully reliable, we need to implement error control at the data link layer to prevent the accessing node from delivering corrupting packets to the network layer. Error control at the data link is normally very simple and implemented using one of the two methods. Now, in both the methods, a CRC is added, that is cyclic redundancy check, to the frame header by the sender and checked by the receiver. In the first method, if the frame is corrupted, it is slightly discarded. If it is not corrupted, the packet is delivered to the network layer. This method is used mostly in the wired LAN such as Ethernet. In the second method, if the frame is corrupted, it is silently discarded. If it is not corrupted, an acknowledgement is sent. What is the acknowledgement? Is nothing but the receiver is going to tell the sender that the message has been received properly. For the purpose of both flow and error control to the sender. Next one will be combinations of the error and flow and the error control. The flow and the error control can be combined. In a simple situation, the acknowledgement that is sent for flow control can also be used for error control to tell the sender and the packet has been arrived uncorrupted. Okay, the lack of the acknowledgement means that there is a problem in the frame side. In case suppose if the sender does not receive the acknowledgement, so in that cases the sender will wait for some time. Okay, and still if the acknowledgement is not been received by this sender, which has been sent by the receiver, the same frame will be sent by the sender again to the receiver. We show these situations. We can discuss some new simple protocols in the next section. So we are going to study something called as regarding the acknowledgement part in the further chapters. Connectionless and connection oriented. Now as far as the connectionless over here, no students, is different. It does not mean that we are using a medium or something like that. DLC protocols can either be a connectionless or connection oriented. Okay, now in this cases, we'll go with the first one, that is the connectionless protocol. In a connectionless protocols, frames are sent from one node to the next without any relationship between the frames. Each frame is independent. Note that the term connectionless here does not mean there is no physical connection, that is transmission medium, between the nodes. It means that there is no connections between the frames. The frames are not numbered and there is no sense of ordering. Most of the data link protocols for lengths are connectionless protocols. As far as the connection oriented protocol is concerned, in a connection oriented protocol, a logical connection should be first be established between the two nodes setup phase. After all the frames that are somewhat related to each other are transmitted, the logical connection is transmitted tear down. In this type of communications, the frames are numbered and they are in order. They have been set in the order. Okay, if they are not received in order, the receiver needs to wait until all the frames belonging to the same set are been received and delivered them in order to the network link. Now, in case, for example, I'll give you all an example, students. Suppose there are 5 frames that have been sent by the sender, and the receiver received the message like 1, 3, 5, 4. Okay, 2 has not as received. So what the receiver is going to do? It's going to wait for some time until unless the frame 2 arrives. Then it is going to arrange as 1, 2, 3, 4 and then it is going to send it to the network layer. Connection oriented protocols are rare in wired LAN, but it can be seen them in point-to-point protocols. Some are wireless LANs and some WANs. Students, with this, we'll stop with this part of the video. This chapter will be having some more parts of the videos. Okay, so please do study, go through. If any queries is there, please do let me know.